Well, thank you so much for the invite here to Blue Origin today. Can you tell me a bit about yourself, what your role here is at Blue?
Absolutely. Well, first off, I want to thank you for coming out and your interest in everything that you do. We're actually excited to be a partner with you and be able to be here today. So I want to welcome you to Blue Origin. This is our Rocket Park site. My name is Carmen, Leon-Acosta, and I have the pleasure of serving here as a senior manager for the production operations team. And I've been here now for about 5.5 years here at Blue Origin on this site specifically, working on our New Glen project.
And as that production assistant, what kind of things do you oversee kind of day to day?
Day-to-day oversee, well, on the production side, we're really going into and diving into the small parts and pieces as we then integrate the entire vehicle. So specifically, I've been held with the responsibility of working on the forward and aft module, which are two different sections of the New Glen vehicle. The aft powers it at the bottom with our engines, and the forward steers it with the fins, right? So when you're looking at the New Glen overall, those are the two big parts of the vehicle, the modules, if you will, that I've been responsible for working. I now partner with a different team working on the coating side and the thermal protective systems installation. So that's the team that I'm currently working with as well, which is another part of the vehicle. And actually the entire vehicle has the TPS, thermal protective systems all over it. And so the coatings and the job, you see that with the team, they generate everything that you see on the outside and the appearance to include our logos from our customers as well.
Yeah. Wonderful. And before New Glen, there was New Shepard. Can you tell me a bit about what we've got here today?
Well, New Shepard is our trailblazer, if you will. It's our inspiration from the beginning, right? This is our first vehicle that we have had, and we have the pleasure of hosting it inside of our main lobby here at Rocket Park. It is the first New Shepard vehicle that we're looking at overall, but it's the second live that has actually been successful. So this is the second one. It's had 5 flights up into space, completely successful, which you see a lot of the burnt and crisp look. So you see a lot of the activity of what happens when a vehicle goes up into space and also comes back successfully. There was a lot of tests that had happened with this vehicle, to include its capsule, which is sitting on the other side of this lobby, which I'm sure we'll have some time with. And so it's exciting because we practice every type of escape and every type of emergency, everything that could potentially happen with the vehicle, and we put it to its max, and it was 100% successful. And we get to forecast that every day when folks come in, right? We've got things that we walk by as employees, and it's an inspiration overall, but also to our guests, to our future generations, right? To be able to put this out into the public for everyone, it's extremely motivating.
Amazing. And so once a rocket is finished with its life, like this one, it came here, how kind of typically how many flights will a New Shepard rocket have before it's retired?
Well, for a New Shepard, there are many times it goes up and comes down. For New Glen specifically, that's going to have 25 flights for reusability.
Oh, wow.
And that's the main focus for one of the things for Blue Origin is the reusability, right? Making it something that is going to be economically helpful to everyone else, and also how fast can we turn it? And the fact that if it's reusable, that is much more opportunity for everyone here. And so that's one of the things that we focus on.
Yeah. Could you talk a bit more about kind of the advantages of reusability, kind of on the cost side, and how that's good for the customer?
Well, the cost side is definitely something we want to factor in, right? Because it takes a very large cost to be able to have a vehicle, create the vehicle from the beginning, manufacture it, have it come here, put it, integrate it, bring it over to the launch pad, and then have it launch. And then that's it, right? For the reusability factor, now you're having it come down. There's a lot of opportunity for how we can work improvements, speed, how many trips we can take up, and all of that eliminates cost, right? And that's one of the biggest things is, we used to have airplanes that were a one-time thing, and now everyone jumps on an airplane to transport from one place to the other. Ideally, in my personal opinion, I believe it's going to be just like that when we have vehicles and reusability and have that access to space.
Wonderful. And over here, if we'd like to move around here, we've got our Club for the Future. This is how I kind of first connected with Blue Origin. Could you tell me a bit more about what the club does and how people watching can kind of get involved with Blue Origin?
Well, absolutely. You're a product of the future generations, Felix, and I just want to thank you for that. So what we're doing here today and what you do on a day-to-day, you reach millions of folks that have the passion and the vision of just being a part of space, learning more about it, or wanting to have hands-on and what the future is going to look like and what Blue Origin provides when it comes to New Glenn and our visions with New Shepard. Those are things where space is going to be so much of a reality, right? And to bring the future generations in how their value and their innovative skills and moments of memory is what we want to capture on a day-to-day.
Yeah.
For Club for the Future, that's a partnership, right? And I love being a part of that team as well as one of the club ambassadors, but reaching out to folks and understanding, going out to the public and understanding what we do in the space industry, what space is, and how being part of the education systems that promote that, especially here on the Space Coast, give them more of an opportunity to come walk through these doors, maybe have some internships and have hands-on opportunities as they promote through their years of career education. So for Club, we love to reach out and let the community know what we offer and also help support. And one of our main passions for me is that we reach out to every community. And I was a part of a community that didn't have much, right? So being a product of that and now being able to partner with Club and going into school systems that just may not have enough and talking to the kids and seeing their eye just light up when you're talking space and about how many hands want to go up to work for space or be an astronaut one day, that is extremely exciting. It's another thing that fuels us for being part of the Club for the Future and reasons why we do what we do.
Amazing. And you've got a little New Shepard model here. Can you walk me through what kind of, from kind of top to bottom, what kind of components there are and what everything does?
So for New Shepard, this is our vehicle that obviously we have had several successful flights for human flight, and this is where our humans will sit inside the capsule, right? So we have several seats that come in, and this vehicle here is what comes back down when it comes into launching from Texas and coming back down. We have an entire field out there, an entire team that works the New Shepard build. So at the bottom, you're gonna have your fins that do the steering and come down for basically re-entry, and then the reusable factor of the actual tanks. So what you don't see here is the broken up of the tanks. On the New Glenn image, you can see that a little bit more where there's several different tanks that help fuel the rocket going up and of course coming back down. And then the capsule, that is also reusable. Up top, we've got the parachutes that come down. So when it's coming down for re-entry, that also helps with the navigation and the land factor, right? And so that also helps our customers and our astronauts that go in on the capsule. The view themselves are remarkable because of the size of these windows, and you'll be able to see that a little bit more live on the capsule when we head over there. But they're massive windows for a reason, right? They want to be able to feel that they're out in space, get a beautiful picture of what the Earth in space looks like when they go up into past the Carmen line and then come back down into Earth.
Amazing. And something you can't see on the model, there's a little engine up here, isn't there, just underneath at the bottom of the capsule. Can you tell me a bit about that?
So that's going to help drive as well and power. So I mean, one of the things for the vehicle itself is that we want to make sure that it's able to go up successfully, come down successfully, and that's a beautiful story that we tell because when we lost our first vehicle for New Shepard, that was the only one that we lost, right? And then you come into our second vehicle that was extremely successful with 5 flights. It's sitting right here in our lobby at Rocket Park, and that's just something that we're super proud of. We have a lot of lessons learned from just New Shepard itself that we then coordinate into New Glenn. And so we're utilizing that on a day-to-day and we're learning every day. Cool.
And if Blue Origin was created and went straight into making New Glenn instead of New Shepard, how do you think that would have affected how much did New Shepard help kind of push the kind of the creation of New Glenn? Monumental.
I mean, if you look at the scale, it's a little bit difficult here because you have a New Shepard live here and you have the small model here. But the New Glenn is much larger, right? It is a much larger vehicle. So with that being said, more complexity goes into it. There's definitely more engines on the New Glenn than there is on the New Shepard. A lot more complexity for that. The reusability factor increases there. So all of those wins for New Glenn are lessons learned that we had from New Shepard. If we didn't have New Shepard, obviously there would be some success because the space industry has been alive for some time. But we're different, right? We're manufacturing New Glenn here. We're doing everything in-house. We're integrating it here. We're rolling it out to the pad here, where a lot of times in the space industry, those vehicles come on a barge and then go to the launch pad, right? We're doing that here. Then we're launching here. Then we're refurbing here once it lands, and then we're launching again here. Those are the benefits that we have here at Rocket Park, and of course with our vehicle New Glenn.
Amazing. If we could move around here, you've got another interesting thing here. Can you tell me a bit about this?
Well, this is our helium sphere, and I'm going to be 100% honest, I don't have too much knowledge on the helium sphere, but it's definitely an artifact that every artifact we have here at Rocket Park, not just in the lobby area, but we also have some upstairs and throughout New Glen, they're just to remember where we came from, remember the beginning, remember the history, reasons as to why we are doing what we do on a day-to-day here for New Glen and other programs that we will be working on as well for Blue.
Wonderful. And one more thing just here, this leg here for New Shepard, kind of how many, a lot of rockets whenever they're being refurbished, I know some rockets have to get their legs replaced obviously because when they come down. How many times can these kind of legs be reused, and how much refurbishment goes into a New Shepard?
So the refurb for a New Shepard, that is something that we're still working through for New Glen because we're not there yet, right? We haven't launched one. So to go back to the New Shepard side for the refurbishment, it's going to be just any refurb team that comes in and works on the vehicle itself. And any parts that are needed, the legs have actually had a lot of positive how do I want to say this? They have had a lot of success, right? So not too much of the refurb really goes into the landing gear side of it. A lot more of it has to do with maybe some of the engines, some of the hydraulics, some of the more complex systems that go into the vehicle, but not so much on the landing gear side of it. We've had a lot of success with our own landing gear as well for New Glen. We've had tests that we've done for that prior to launch. Those are public out there, so you can witness those. But all of those obviously are lessons that we take, and there's been some outside companies that have also had some vehicles that are reusable, and so we just take lessons learned from all of those to make us as successful as possible.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Should we move around to the capsule now?
Sure thing.
So can you tell me a bit about this, so that sits on top of New Shepard. How many times has this one flown?
Yes, so this capsule actually belongs to this rocket here.
Oh, right.
And so it has flown with this vehicle 5 times successfully, right? And it also has, as you can see, some of the tint of some of the exercises, if you will, or some of the tests that we put this capsule through. But what you can tell is this is to scale, this is to size. So if you're standing here and you look at a size of a window, which we talked about earlier, it's a pretty massive sized window. And so with that, it gives you a beautiful view as you're going up and then as you're coming back down as well. And I think one of the things that we hear from our astronauts as they go up past that Carmen line and come back down is just the visibility that they have. The feeling obviously is probably sensational. I've never gone up, but it's probably sensational to go up and feel that, that pressure, that 0G, that fast pace as you're going up and then as you're coming back down as well. Extremely exciting. But we want to give them the opportunity to have that view as well. So that's one of my favorite features of the capsule is the size of the actual window. I know that may not sound exciting, but I think if I had that view of the Earth and space, then I would very much appreciate it. I've had the opportunity to sit inside of a capsule, one of our real capsules, and the comfort as well, right? The inside of the actual chairs, you kind of lean back. I'm not sure if folks are relating to gaming chairs. You see those, I'm not a gamer, but you see those chairs, they're extremely comfortable, large, right? That's similar to what we have inside here, and it gives them a really nice position to embrace as we go up and also embrace as we come down for impact.
Amazing. And we talked a bit about the lessons that went in from New Shepard into New Glen. How many lessons did you learn from the capsule that went into New Glen, or I'm guessing that's not as much as?
Well, New Glen won't have a capsule, but it does have the payload fairings, right? And our payload fairings, we've got 2 large payload fairings on the New Glen. And so we've done tests on those for obviously function as it goes up for a vehicle, but we're also doing tests to see what the future holds for the payloads themselves. So I don't want to take away from the opportunity of what the capsule's successes are from their tests to come down, because this would protect the actual astronauts inside, right? That's more of a different story than New Glen. New Glen is going to have a lot of the infrastructure, that's our goal, a lot of the things that are going to be going up. Who knows what the future holds there as well. However, we take every possible lesson learned that we can to then utilize that going forward as we continue to create what Blue Origin's mission is for millions of people living in space for the benefit of Earth.
Amazing. And so how many people can be seated in a vehicle at one time?
In one capsule, we have 6 seats.
6 seats. And obviously, this takes people up. What lessons went into while New Shepard and the capsule were being developed? Did you have people come in, test out the seats, the systems that to make sure that the customer is as happy as possible?
So I can't speak too much on the New Shepard side since I've not been a part of that team, but I can tell you that I have been to the astronaut training center for the astronauts that go up in the New Shepard out in Texas. There's a lot of strenuous training that goes in to prepare them for, one, being in the capsule, what it would be like going up and coming back down. So before we put anything to humans, many tests happen. Many validations happen, many what-ifs happen, many different kinds of tests to make sure that it is 100% safe for our visitors and for our guests and astronauts.
Amazing. If we move around here, you've got some pictures of New Glenn here.
Yes.
There's targeting your launch date in October of this year, am I right?
We are launching very soon.
Yes, cool.
Yes.
And that's launching a payload for NASA, yeah?
We've got some successes with some vendors out there, so I'll leave it there.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yes.
And you talked to this one here, landing on a barge, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And we saw some tests, some videos put out the other day of the landing legs. Do you do any work on those landing legs?
So the landing gear is part of the aft module. So from that image there, if you look to where the gray is right below the blue and the feather, all the way down to the landing gear themselves is the aft module. So that module itself is definitely a part of what I've had the opportunity to work on. The team that actually does all of the subsystem integrations into that module to make it work to include the landing gear and the landing gear coming out. So there is some public videos out there of some of our tests. We also had a recent one for the forward module, which is right above. So on this image here, all the way at the top, right after the word Glenn, and all the way to the top where the fins are, that is your forward module. Those fins will help with the navigation as it comes down and descends back down for obviously landing. And so we've had a lot of tests with those. And you see on the other sides of the aft module, you see two strakes. And so those will also help as well. And so those are different parts of the stage one. So what we're looking here at right in this photo is the stage one, the biggest stage of the New Glenn vehicle. And from the New Glenn, the Blue Origin, and the feather, all of that white and blue there, that is one big tank. And we call that our first stage tank. And then you attach the forward module, you attach the aft module, you've got the strakes added, and now you've got your entire stage one vehicle ready to go. The photo above has also got our additional stages, and it's got the payload fairing. So then that will complete your full build of your New Glenn vehicle.
Wonderful. And like I said, there's landing on the barge here. For how many flights are you going to do until you try and land, or are you going to try that on the first one?
Our reusability factor is going to be 25. Right now, that is our target, and I'm sure we will work to improve that and increase that. I think as any business, most folks will. But right now, our target is reusability for 25 flights for the New Glenn vehicle, and it's going to be for our first stage, which is what we see here today.
Amazing. And you mentioned we've got some artifacts here. Could you tell me about what we've got and why they're here in the lobby today?
So a lot of these artifacts are, again, artifacts that our founder is very proud of. They're just things that he believes in when it comes to the creation, the innovation, and those are things that we want to promote within Blue Origin, within our employees, within our visitors. It's also something that attracts many folks that come. We do a lot of tours for schools from all ages. We've had some elementary, we've had some college, and we've had some high school. That is our generation target, right? Because they are the future. So as we go with our mission for New Glenn, this is going to be generational, and this is something that all the way down from elementary and up, where they can be impactful to that and have a seat at the table and be able to come in. And so a lot of folks come in and look at the history, remember where we came from, and then here's where we're going.
Yeah, and a massive thing about Blue Origin, which I love, kind of inspiring the next generation. You've got Club for the Future. Why is that such a huge sort of component of what Blue Origin does?
Well, Club for the Future is just an absolute avenue that helps us reach into that community, helps us reach and connect, physically connect. Not only do we get to meet and greet, but we get to inspire, we get to talk about what we do, we get to talk about opportunities. And just having that relationship alone with folks gives them more confidence. So as they have that confidence, as they have that memory, and they carry it with them throughout, hopefully that's folks that will come later on and start applying to be a part of this beautiful company that has just an impact not only to them in space, but to the Earth as well.
Amazing. And so these pictures here, you've got an engine there and an engine there. Can you tell me a bit about those?
So we've got our BE3 engines and we've got our BE4 engines. So our New Glenn will have our BE4 engines and our New Shepard has our BE3 engines. These engines are powerful engines. On the New Glenn, we will have 7 of those engines. That is extreme power for obvious reasons, right? It's a very large vehicle. And so our team that works on these, manufactures these, they're out in Huntsville, Alabama. It's a site that we actually started just a few years back, and the growth and development that team has had, I'm extremely proud of. We've had a lot of successes when it comes to our engines, and so we want to make sure we're promoting that. So when you come into the lobby and you come into Rocket Park, you're not just seeing, New Glenn, you're seeing New Shepard, the beginning where we started. You're seeing parts of our partners that make New Glenn. You're seeing the foundation of history for the space side, and we don't want to forget about that. That is extremely important to us.
Oh yeah. And you mentioned kind of some of the facilities. This facility here, is this mainly for New Glenn, yes?
Yes, Rocket Park here is mainly manufacturing New Glenn. I'm sure there's going to be other projects later down the road, and where those will be, we'll yet to find out, but the growth here and the footprint that we're making the Space Coast is an absolute just something to be proud of. I promote that on a day-to-day. Families come through, visitors come through. We have the obviously benefit to being right across from Kennedy Space Center. That is history and monumental in itself with NASA, right? The beginning, the founders. And right across the street is Blue Origin. And as you pass this beautiful building with the blue and white and the glass, it's very appeasing to the eye. And most people are like, hey, what is that? If they don't already know what Blue Origin is, it keeps the inquiring minds wanting to search more. And as they learn and grow, it just gives them an opportunity.
Amazing. And how big is do you know how big the footprint of this, how big this facility is and what kind of different buildings have you got?
Well, the footprint is still growing for Rocket Park here, 100%. I think you probably saw that as you were coming in with some of the construction. I don't know the number off of the top of my head, but I'll tell you when I first started here at New Glenn 5.5 years ago, this was the only building. And just shortly within 5 years, you can look outside and see the growth that we've had all the way down to our south and to our west. We've also opened up the LC-36, Launch Pad Complex 36, which is where we'll be launching New Glenn.
Amazing. And so once New Glenn is built here, where is the payload put into the fairings in this facility as well?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Between here and the launch complex, we will integrate vehicles and we will launch it out at Launch Complex 36. So again, this is monumental, something that we haven't done here in the Space Coast when it comes to manufacturing a vehicle, rolling it out to the launch pad, launching, refurbing, and then launching again. That is where Blue Origin is standing out.
Amazing. And once the payload is put in and it's rolled to the launch site, how long does that take to get to the site?
The actual roll to the launch pad, it is a very slow process. I'm talking just a few miles per hour, less than 5, and a very long way to go. And there's a secure way to go through NASA as well and through the Space Force. Those are our partners there. I don't have a definite number as to how long it'll take from rolling out here to rolling out to the pad, but we have gotten parts of our vehicles over to the launch pad within a day, so I can just give you that open timeline.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Should we go and take a seat and talk a bit more about what your role here is at Blue Origin?
Absolutely.
So you said you've been here for 5 years here at Blue Origin. Where did you work before you came here?
I've been here for a little over 5.5 years, and before coming to Blue Origin, I worked for a different space company. I worked for Boeing, partnering with NASA over in New Orleans, and that was working on the Artemis vehicle.
Cool. And what kind of experience, obviously you've got a lot of experience from that job, how much of that did you bring into the work that you do today?
Absolutely all of it. It's another vehicle, so it was very much a little smooth of a transition when it comes from working on one vehicle to another. I think one of the differences that takes place between a program like the Artemis program and a program like Blue Origin with New Glenn is that New Glenn is first time. It's a first time build. Boeing, NASA, those companies are amazing companies that have been around for quite some time. There's a lot of lessons learned that they've kind of gone through. So for Blue, it's going to be first time, but one of the beautiful things is that we bring in folks that have a lot of experience. We bring in quality talent that can bring things to the table and help expedite some of the execution on things. But we definitely push the limits when it comes to innovation. We don't leave anything off the table. Anything is a great idea.
And you said employing people with lots of talent. How can people get involved with Blue Origin? What kind of experience does Blue Origin kind of want in their staff?
Well, when we speak about our staff and our employees that partner with Blue and just coming in, there are so many different types of disciplines, right? You would think like, most people think, oh, I need to be a space nerd, or I need to be very much educated in science and math, and that's not necessarily the case. Those are all great things and skills to carry. But we have so many teammates that are part of Blue Origin that make us successful, from our finance side to our quality side to our training side as training instructors, if you will, to teach a lot more about specific parts. Different trades that come into play when it comes to specifics like coders, those are painters, things of that nature. And so it's a very vast opportunity. And so you've got legal, you've got human resources, of course you've got the technicians and the mechanic side of the house, you have the engineers, the designers, if you will, but it is a very open opportunity for anyone to be a part of Blue Origin. One of the things that we strive to gain from our candidates that apply to Blue Origin is the passion. Do you know why we're here? Do you believe in our mission, and do you want to partner with us? If you show that through your interview process, that is a perfect candidate that I would want to talk to and be interested in. With first-time operations, a lot of the times there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of trials, errors, all those types of things, and that's okay. It's just, are you willing to go through that and get to the end result and then help improve that as we continue? And those are the type of candidates that we look for.
Wonderful. And you talked a bit about kind of Blue's mission. Can you talk a bit more in depth about that and what kind of the sort of, not sure if this is the right way to say it, but kind of like the end goal for what wants to be kind of created?
So with Blue Origin's mission, it's millions of people living and working in space for the benefit of Earth. Very big mission. Doable, in my opinion, 100%. Millions of people living and working in space. One, we got to make that access possible. That's where these vehicles come into play. And another part of that is the infrastructure of millions of people working in space, bringing things into space for the space that has the opportunity and to be able to work up there, to be able to save the planet, to be able to help us and not be able to, put a little bit more damage into what we've already done to our planet, right? It's taking care of it. So having the mindset of being able to take care of Earth is another passion that there are many people that believe in that and that work on that every single day. And those are people that we want to bring on board to help us get there as well, because that is leaving such a legacy, for our future generations. That is not only just an impact to your family and yourself, but to the Earth and future generations way down the road.
Amazing. And you talked, kind of spaceflight can be quite a controversial topic sometimes, kind of, and people do say focus on Earth, forget space for now. And obviously Blue Origin is kind of mixing that, going to space for the benefit of Earth. Can you talk a bit more about that and how Blue Origin wants to benefit Earth?
Absolutely. So with the mission itself that we've talked about, it's making it more of a comfort and a reality, going to space and coming back, right? So for the living and working in space, the reusability factor, that's going to help us with that. But then also, being comfortable and being affordable to go to space. That's where New Shepard comes in and helps us with that. And so we're slowly working towards that overall mission to make it more of a reality, all for the benefit. We're not in space yet with as far as living and working in space, but we are working there when you think about our space stations and other agencies that have been up there for months and they are living up there for months. I mean, those are prime examples as to it is possible. We just want to create it even more so that we can benefit this planet.
Cool. And in this facility here, you're building the future. New Glenn is Blue Origin's next heavy lift vehicle. What beyond that is what vehicles are beyond that, and what does Blue Origin want to create next after New Glenn?
Well, we never stop being innovative as to what we're doing next. And there's many programs out there. We've had the Orbital Reef come out. There's a lot of things that the teams are working on, our lunar lander. Those are other programs that we work here on the Space Coast with Rocket Park. And of course, those are still in work. Those are still in concept, design, all of those things. And so the public will see a whole lot more of that outside of what's already out there. But all of those pieces are to a part of a large puzzle. And that is the living and working in space for the benefit of Earth. And those help us get there just for everything that it's going to take to build that infrastructure in space, to allow that access to space. And we partner with them every day.
Cool. And I want to talk a bit, so you do, so doing this interview is sharing what Blue Origin does. How much does that mean to you, kind of sharing what what's being done?
You know, I feel like I'm a walking recruiter even when I'm not at work, just because I love what I do. I believe in this mission for this company. I don't call this work. I don't call it a job. I'm blessed to have that 100%, but I believe in it. So being able to commit as much dedication as I do to this company, it's for that mission. It's for that next generation. It's for my daughter. It's for others. It's for folks that never thought they had an opportunity to even be a part of something like this, where I used to be that person. I want to be able to have an opportunity to change that. So being a part of Club for the Future and having an opportunity to go and speak to folks and be able to change those minds into the reality of that is of being a part of this, that it's very much doable. That means a lot to me, and that sticks with me on every single day. I mean, coming in here, having an opportunity to walk through and see this vehicle, this was the beginning. This New Shepard vehicle was the beginning of why I am here, why Blue Origin is here in Florida on the Space Coast. So I don't forget that.
How did you first hear about Blue Origin?
So I first heard about it back in 2014. And I started doing research, and I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of the videos, and then I read up on our founder. And there are so many things that he publicly announced that just aligned 100%. And I didn't want to work for Blue Origin. I wanted to work for the mission, and I believed in that. And that is when I applied, and I was blessed enough to have an interview and got accepted, and here I am today.
Amazing. Talking a bit about before you worked for Boeing, what did you do?
Well, before Boeing, I was with Boeing, but I was on the aviation side. So I worked aviation in South Carolina, and before I crossed over to the SLS program in Michoud in Louisiana for Boeing. Prior to that, I was active duty military, so I was stationed in Texas, and I was there. So I've been serving now for 23 years on the military side.
Amazing. And kind of from the military side, what experience do you take from there that you put into your work here at Blue Origin?
Oh, that's a great question, Felix. So the leadership skills that I gained in the military are by far nothing that I've experienced on the civilian sector, not to take away from the great things that we offer on the civilian sector side. But I've had the opportunity to be a military training instructor that is very in-depth from transitioning civilians into military and what that's like, and that's a 6.5-week process. It's changed a little bit since I did that. It's now an 8.5-week process. That skill set alone, to be able to identify who are going to be your leaders and run things, is extremely helpful. I've also worked in jobs as recruiting. I've also worked in jobs for the air crew. So similarly to our astronauts, they go to the astronaut training. I was the instructor on the military side for our air crew, so I would teach them on their survival techniques if they were to have to eject from an aircraft, and what that's like if they were to land, and what kind of terrain, whether that be combat, water, land. So I've had those types of training of survival. That is beneficial, and all things that I take into consideration when I come over to work as well, I started as an engineer for Blue, and now I manage the production team. But having that knowledge and that history allows me to understand more of some of the processes that we do. So having a job and a task is great, but when you understand the why behind it and the beginning, where my customers came from and who I'm delivering to, it's a bit different. It just has a little bit more of that impact.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for inviting me here today. It's been amazing to come around the lobby, getting to share what Blue Origin does. I interviewed the head of Club for the Future, Heather. That was amazing, and thank you so much for letting me come in and take a look around the amazing New Shepard rocket here. That's truly amazing.
Felix, it was an absolute pleasure. I am so glad. Heather is a charm, and she's definitely a true asset for Blue as leading that Club for the Future team. And I want to thank Club as well for this opportunity to connect me with you, Felix. And thank you for taking the time. I mean, this is an extraordinary time for Blue Origin. And so I appreciate you wanting to be a part of this and being here today. And I thank you and your mother for being able to join and do the travel.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
My
and I hope you
pleasure,
have a
sir.
wonderful rest of your day.
Likewise. Enjoy.